Tell me if you get it live before me.
I am live.
All right. I am live too. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, we are going to go ahead and get started. People popping in the room. There we go. Here's a request. There. Oh, look at y'all are so good. Holly and Kate, that means you're on. Thank you. So we will, I don't really have an order between y'all, Holly and Kate. And if y'all could chime in the chat box and let me know if you can see this and hear us okay. We will start with one of you. We have a little bit that we want to talk through first, and then we're going to hop to hot seats. By the way, Sheena, this is our hot seat happy hour. Do you have a fun drink?
I don't. I actually have more coffee. So that feels fun right now.
I know La Croix, and I can't even find it now. I put it somewhere. So
Kyle asked me before we started if I want a mimosa, and I was like, I'll just take some more coffee. And I'm like, missed opportunity.
Oh well. We're gonna do what we can. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of you in here. That just happened really fast. Okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I would love to know who all is here. I know a lot of names. I know a lot of you have been soaking up some Sheena content lately. So yeah, who is here? Where are you calling in from? This may not be a happy hour at all for you. I would love to know. I'm here in Waco, Texas, actually, not Atlanta. Maybe I feel like the shiplap is rather appropriate, right, for Waco?
So appropriate.
Victoria. Yeah. Is there any other wall dressing in Waco?
No.
Not
yeah, anymore, at least.
Fun. Not anymore. Chip and Joe, I was telling Sheena runs this. Beeham, Alabama, Rebecca. You know, those are my old stomping grounds. All right. Well, I'm glad some of you are popping in, and look at y'all, my hot seaters, you all are here. This is so great. So we're going to get to all of you. I first want to go ahead and jump in and introduce myself. If you're not as familiar with me, but I'm pretty sure everybody here, this is a very small, if you got the invitation for this, you were on like a hand-picked list that you had raised your hands for a few things. I thought this may be something that you'd be interested in. But hi, I'm Ashlyn Carter. I'm a calligrapher and a copywriter for creative entrepreneurs. So I help women like you be more comfortable with your words so you can sell more. So I got you on the words, but the other half of the screen has you on the numbers. So I'm really excited today to get into all this. Sheena, would you like me to, do you feel like you should introduce yourself before I kind of tell like how, okay.
Sure, I love that. Hey everyone, I'm Shanna Skidmore. I'm so glad to be hanging out with you and Ashlyn today. Ashlyn's one of my favorite people, as I'm sure she is one of yours. If you aren't familiar with me, I've actually been off social media for the last 10 months, so I always laugh.
Let's see. Uh-oh, I think Shanna popped off for me. I was being quiet because, let's see.
I'm back. Can you see me? Okay, good. Yeah. It's a webinar. It does that all the time. So I actually have a background in finance and operations, and I've been in the world of finance and small business for 12 years. And back in 2011, I started working with creative entrepreneurs, and I worked with a fashion designer first, and then I worked with Amy Osaba, a floral designer. And that really kicked off this conversation. I started realizing there's not a lot of finance geared, or any really finance geared education that's designed for creative entrepreneurs. And I don't know if you guys would I wish we could do emojis in here, but raise your hand. Like, I think it's very intimidating to talk about money and business as moms and just part-timers or 9 to 5 after 9 to 5s. And we're very intimidated to even call ourselves business owners sometimes. And so I just felt this calling to really empower women, no matter what your business looks like, that you can create something profitable, even on a part-time. And so that's what I do. I created the Blueprint Model, which is my coaching program, back in 2016, after I got so busy doing this that I just didn't, I love it. I just didn't have time, and I think that's such a blessing. Like, I definitely found a hole in the market, and that my skill set could uniquely solve, and I got super busy, and I thought, how could I make more Shanna? And so I sat down and I recorded every step of my process so I could just like talk to people and then coach them. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't have to say the same things over and over, because I feel like the process is the same. And so it's just been an amazing journey. I'm so thankful for what I get to do. And I love seeing women. Like last year we had $30,000 business loan paid off. We have had people triple their pricing. We had a floral designer cut their events in half from 50 to 25, still make the same money. And so it is super encouraging to me and humbling to get to, like, let's just talk about the few money things. And I love every single one of you that are here for standing up and saying, I believe I can learn this too, even though sometimes it feels hard to talk about something like, for me, is technology. It's like totally my uncomfortable. I'm sweating right now. And that's how money is for a lot of people. So I'm Shannon. I'm glad to know you. Thanks for inviting me on, Ashlyn.
Absolutely. Well, before we jump into our hot seats, and I also want to preface this, Shannon and I have a rough outline of today, but like everything I'm about to talk about for just like a little moment here, I've never really talked about before publicly. So y'all are in for whatever comes out of my mouth.
If you cry,
I'm
you
really
cry.
excited to talk about. I cry, may do that. But so I'm excited to share that. But I wanted to see if it's okay before we jump into that. Would y'all be okay if I share my story of kind of like financially the twists and turns that my business and my life made? Because I do want to jump into that a little bit before we get into our other ladies. For a couple of reasons, I want those of you, our 5 incredible volunteers. We had so many great applications, and I'm going to try to get back to each of you and maybe help you a little bit. Yes. Thank you, Allison. Yeah, okay, good. All right, we're gonna.
I'm saying yes too. I'm chatting in my yes.
Line, but
yes.
Thank you. Okay. So I'm gonna do that, and then what was I about to say? Can't remember. That's okay. Oh, just wanted to thank you for all of you that applied, and why I want to share my story is because I feel like 2 reasons. One is you hear in like every Facebook ad and all the time, 6 figures, 6 figures, 6 figures. And I think there's like a lot of like, but what do people actually make, and where are they, how do they actually feel when they hit those numbers? So I think like I want to demystify that for those of you that are going to be chiming in and joining us on video. I just want to make sure that you feel like very, like Sheena and I have been exactly where you are. And so I want you to feel really comfortable. So many of you know my story, but I worked in public relations and corporate communications for years, all that while bringing home calligraphy orders at night. I probably, Sheena, and I feel like Christina Scalier, my attorney and roommate this week here at my mastermind, would probably slap me on the wrist, but I did take a lot of orders and just like pocketed that couple $100. You know, I was filling calligraphy orders because it was fun. I did escort cards because it was fun. I never saw it as like a business venture. It was just my side hustle and hobby while I had my real job. And then when I went into eating disorder recovery, which I do talk about a lot. So I think these are my people, I feel like here. I'm telling you my story, but I'm like, I feel like you've heard this before. But when I was in recovery, that was when I had that first moment. I was like, you know what? Like, I've got to figure out, I want to make money on my own doing something that I love doing. And so I knew one skill that was obviously going to be able to translate was calligraphy. And then the other I knew was writing. I just didn't know in what form yet. So when I switched, that was the first, and I literally left my job for health reasons. I realized that mentally, Shannon popped off, I'll keep going. Mentally, I was not in a great spot to have that job that I did. But so yeah, I switched, and I talked to a lot of people at first that work for themselves, and I said, there's no way I can ever match my corporate salary. I moved up, and I was making about $60,000 at my corporate job in marketing. I think my first job was like 30 or 35, and so I moved up a lot. Like I worked really hard for that, and I got a little bonus on that. I thought there was no way I could ever top that. That was comfortable. I was good on that. I was comfortable, but I knew that if I made that switch, I had to match that corporate income, right? I had to do that. So when I moved into doing calligraphy and going on my own full time, I had this panic moment where I thought I have to say yes to everything, because now, like, I've convinced my husband this was a good idea. He did too. He wanted me to do it too, but like, we've got to make this work. We were newlyweds. We had to pay our bills. It was a stressful time. We had to pay off 2-3 months of partial hospitalization medical bills. That was thousands of dollars that we were in debt when we first went into marriage because of my sickness. And so we had a lot, and here I was starting this new business. So that first year was really hard, as many of you do, and like we take on a lot. We say yes to everything because we're taking in all the jobs that pay. Any client that was going to pay me, I was going to do wood signage for you if you were not my bride. I was going to do chalkboard around town, Atlanta. If anybody in Atlanta needed a chalkboard done, Ponce City Market done, I'm in. So I was doing all these jobs that I don't even like working with chalk as a medium. And then for writing, I was taking on editorial jobs. I was doing like anything that would pay me money, working constantly, and just not really finding a rhythm, but slowly starting to build a brand and a niche for myself. That year, the end of the calendar year 2016, so I went full time in February. That year, we brought in $58,000. So I was like, oh, I was so proud of myself. I replaced my salary. I did not know anything clearly about overhead, because do you want to know what I paid myself from that? Closer to like $30,000. I don't even really know where the rest of that money went. I tracked it, but like I didn't know what I was doing. I was so busy running all the other things. And so that was my very first 10 months in business. But what I wanted to say is back up to April of that year. I heard Sheena speak at a Loom retreat, and for the first time called budget a spending plan, which I liked. And then she went on to talk about, instead of building this from the back, instead of setting out a budget, Ashlyn, what do you like to do? What are your dreams? What are your dreams with your husband? What does your husband want in 20 years? Do y'all want do you want to travel? Do you want to go on sabbaticals? For me and Wes, I've shared this before. We want a lake house more than anything. When we're 40 years old, for our college age kids to come through or whatever, like that is what we want. And so that stuck in my brain. Fast forward to 2017, and my brand heated up and is having to turn away business like hotcakes. But I took in a lot of business. I took in way more business than I was able to sustain as a middle-aged cool person. So it wasn't that like, we could service everybody, but I was completely overwhelmed. We ended up serving 42 clients, and I did my best for the work for them. I do always wonder, like that was a lot of creativity to just be pulled out of me. And so right about the time, and I was booking myself 6, 7, 8, 9 months out at a time. I was booked out for the year very early on in the year. Mistake. So around, when did we what month was it that we decided we're going to go for this? We're going to work together.
I mean, I want to say it was definitely by August. And then I think we worked together in September and October, right? Last year.
Yeah. Yeah. And I knew I was familiar with Sheena's blueprint model. We ended up, just in full transparency, I've gone through her blueprint model program, but we did a trade that was at $1 expense. That I got a little one-on-one time with Sheena, and I did work for her. But working together, we created my blueprint model system for how we're doing sales next year. I took, Sheena, I don't know if I didn't text you this, but on Sunday, that was the first Sunday that I haven't had any work to do in probably 3 months.
Sorry, I'm going to cry. Don't tell me that stuff.
I could cry. So we get in the car this past Sunday to go to church, and I started sobbing, and Wes was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "Is this what it feels like? Is this what everybody else is right now? Is this what Sunday feels like for everybody else? Is this what a day where you don't have any work to do feels like?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, I just have never felt this free, and in months I haven't. And just being the girl that always says work from a place of rest, not hustle. Ooh, Shayna's gone now. I'm awkward by myself. It was hard to know that within myself I wasn't meeting those goals, but there was nowhere for the work to go except to bleed into things. And so I am just proof of what the blueprint model can do, and just what working with Sheena was able to give us. This year we are projected to make more than can I say my revenue from last year? Is that okay?
That's totally up to you. I feel good about it. I'm all about talking numbers. Okay.
Ended up hitting about $260,000 in revenue. Remember, everybody, revenue is
so smart.
Other stuff. Yeah, but we went from 58 to that number to this past that, but with me taking off time. So that is just the power. Nicolette, oh, I love you. I'm glad you're here. That is just the power of what this was able to do. And it's been freeing. So I'm just, with all that, I'm really excited to have Sheena get to pour into y'all today. Obviously answer our hot seaters questions, but for those of you that have questions, Obviously, I think everybody is aware Sheena has her Blueprint Model program open right now. I've talked about it a lot, and I talk about it. Jenna Kutcher told me today, she's my coach through this mastermind. She's like, you're a really good affiliate. You're really selling this well. And I was like, you don't understand. Like, it's not, I believe in this, everything in me. It changed our marriage. It changed our life, changed everything for me. So I really believe in it. I'm excited for Sheena to talk. So have I gone through my outline okay? I guess it's your turn, Sheena. To
what am I supposed to do? I'm like cry. You did great.
Well,
thanks for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
Hey, you are honestly what keeps me going, and I think we've all had that. I shared a webinar yesterday called From Broke to No Joke, and I shared how Kyle and I had our $30,000 student loan that we were living on when I started my company as well, and how I really do truly believe that there is a formula, and that is what I teach in the Blueprint. I do believe there's a way that you can be a business owner and a wife, a mom, a present friend, but when you know exactly, because yeah, you're right. Nobody talks about this idea of we just have to do more, because that's what a business owner does. And really, we just take a step back and say, what do you need? What do you want? What does it take to get there? And I still preach this I'm going through the Blueprint Model myself with the 2018 class. Like, I literally sit down and do it every single year. And so does most of the Blueprint class. The last two, they jump back in because we have to constantly, it's abnormal to be in a world of business and say, this is enough for me. Enough and not enough like, well, that's enough. Like, give yourself grace. But no, like, this is my number. And everybody else can do what they're doing, but this is my number. So anyways, I could get passionate about it. Thank you for sharing your story. I think a lot of people will resonate with that, and that just gives me a lot of hope and excitement.
Well, never shared some of those numbers before, so that felt weird, but really good. Yeah. I'm glad. Like I said, I want to pull back to here. I just want everybody to know. Yeah. So you think we should move into some hot seating now?
I think we do hot seats. Yeah.
Holly, you are first in line, so I'm going to invite you on. And while I'm inviting her, I'm going to explain, guys, thanks for being with us. We're both, or I'm out of town leaning on a Wi-Fi that I'm not really familiar with. And we haven't really done this before. So I think Holly is testing to see if you can pop in. A window should pop up. But we chose people that were at different points in their business. And what we want to do is give them a chance to kind of say their biggest problem in business right now. Obviously, with Shannon coming in from the finance and business ops side, and with me coming in from the marketing copy side, hopefully we'll be able to kind of give you a two-pronged approach to some tips. And if you weren't chosen for one of those hot seat spots, I think this will be a good chance. And I'm learning that here, sitting in a mastermind with 24 other women. Like, every time we hot seat somebody else, I learn something. I learn something every time. And I know that peer-to-peer mentoring is something that's really, really helpful. Okay, Holly is on. Yay, this is great. So she's probably going through a little thing that's asking her about her video. I will introduce Holly. Holly has a branding and design business. And so that's why I picked her. I don't know if there's any other designers or brand people in here. Hi, Camilla. Camilla, you sent me an email.
Yeah.
There she is.
Hey, Holly. Yeah. This is fun.
Yay. Okay. Can you hear us okay, Holly? Let's see. I don't know.
There we go.
Do a little button.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yes, this is perfect. Well, Holly, I just gave a mini introduction, but I will let you do the honors. I would love to know, obviously tell everybody your name, where you're from, and then what your business is that you do.
Yeah, so I am Holly Meyer. I am a brand and web designer based out of North Carolina, and I design brands and websites for creative women in business.
Awesome. Well, I asked you and kind of prepped you today, what is, and I know you've thought of it, but we're going to ask each woman to share the biggest business problem that they have right now. Just that one thing. And like I said, these are hot seats, so they go fast. We're going to just cut to the chase. I'm going to ask you that, and then Shane and I are going to have 2 minutes to ask clarifying questions. So you have 1 minute to explain your biggest problem, and I'll hit go whenever you're ready.
Okay, let me pull up my notes so I don't forget anything.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready. So my biggest
hit it.
Okay. My biggest problems are consistent income, I should say, in business, regardless of whether or not my client roster is at full capacity. And then communicating my services in a way that attracts more of my dream clients, so I don't have to say yes to everything that comes my way. And finding and communicating my onlyness factor so I can differentiate myself from other designers in my industry.
Okay, so communicating, would you say, so this is kind of like, this is a little like 3 problems, but I do feel like they connect. So what was say your first thing one more time?
Consistent income.
Consistent income. So that is all kind of conflated. All right, we're about at a minute. So now Shanna and I stop, reset, start. Shanna and I are going to have 2 minutes to ask you some clarifying questions so we can kind of get just a little bit of a lay of the land. Sound okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. My first question is, what is your clientele?
My clientele, primarily like 70% is wedding planners, photographers, and interior designers.
And what are you're selling them full brand design and website design?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And what all included?
So primary logo, alternate logo, brand style guide, all that fun stuff. And then full website, usually like 6 to 7 pages.
And how are you marketing to them now?
A lot of my work comes through referrals, but also I get a little bit from Pinterest and Instagram.
Okay, and can I ask you one? Okay, fast. When you said you have not consistent income, even when your roster is full?
So I get paid during those months when my roster is full, but then I do have some months, like most creative businesses, where business is a little bit slower, where I'm not getting paid as much as I would if I had a full month.
I feel good. I know what I'm going to say.
I have one more question for you, Holly. And you use the word onlyness factor, so I'm just going to go there. Why would people, why should I work with you over anybody else? Do you have something in your story that would stick with me, or do you offer something that I won't get anywhere else?
That's the part that I struggle with the most, is because I feel like a lot of brand designers offer distinguished designs for creative professionals. So I'm struggling to get a little bit deeper than that.
Sounds good. Tina, anything else?
I need a notepad. No.
7 seconds left.
Great. I feel great. I know exactly what I'm going to say.
Okay, well, we'll leave you up here and then reset. I'm going to go. Let's do 4 minutes each. Does that sound good, Shanna?
4 minutes each?
You do. Yeah, because I feel like with each girl.
Oh, 4 minutes, but not 4 minutes me, 4 minutes you. 4 minutes together.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, that's just a lot.
Okay, let's do it and start. Okay, Shanna, I feel like one of the benefits of working with Shanna is, like, as a marketing person, I loved laying the ground, like Ashley said, the blueprint first. So I'm going to let Shanna put you on the spot. I feel like Shanna what would you say first? I want to build up whatever you
already got it. Already know. Okay, in the blueprint model, we have this thing called client tracking document. Okay, I'm going to tell you what it is. But so I started this when I worked with florals, and I realized that everybody wants a consistent paycheck, but nobody's ever consistent. No company ever is ever consistent about income. And so instead of trying to change it so that you get the same amount every month, let's see what months typically do the best. So I started this thing called a client tracking document. It just says name, what they purchased, when they purchased it. It has a couple other things, but that's in referral. Those are the big things. And
Did that freeze for you, Holly?
Yes.
Let's see. Maybe she'll pop out and pop back in a minute. Okay, so I don't want to start.
You're going to see, this is
like clockwork, right?
This is, wait, I don't know what's happening. Can y'all hear me? Anyways, yeah, okay. So when you do the client tracking document, it's going to tell you, okay, maybe I know every single year that July, this is how all my clients end up taking sabbatical, because they realize there's a month for all of us that is slow, for all of us. And so they started realizing it doesn't make sense for me to be open because this is the same every year. So I would encourage you to start tracking your inquiries, and instead of trying to fit like I need to say, let's plan our finances on what normally happens. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, that was my first point. I got another one too, but Ashlyn, do you want to go?
One thing, yeah, I can go. One thing that sticks out, like as Sheena's talking about the consistency, Holly, I just wonder, would you ever be consistent? I'm just a big fan of like riches are in the niches, and like you said, 70% of your clientele tends to be wedding. I don't know. Would you be interested? I think go for that. I think own like special. I just think specialists, generalists works for some people, but I would just be curious at least as to what would happen if you start to kind of step into a brand for yourself and develop an onlyness factor around what you can give to a wedding-based audience, because you're going to know, obviously, as a wedding designer, as a copywriter, you and I both know that like so much of what we do, yeah, we want to hear what our client wants, but like we know what the audience wants. And that is like with branding and marketing, like that's the big important part. And I think by like study, I should drop in here. There's a brand, oh, Shannon knows her. There is a marketer out in, or she's, what would you call,
Maddie Tigran?
No, completely different. In Arizona. Why am I blanking on her name? She pulls the wedding stats for high-end weddings.
Lynn Stevens.
I'll drop it in here after I start talking, or after Shana starts talking. But I think she pulls a report. All this to say, she pulls a report of high-end weddings in, I think, the U.S. and Canada. So weddings that are at a certain threshold, and she pulls all the data and the research for those audiences. She studies buying patterns of people at that point. So what if you got so good, Holly, at the research? Like you gave research and data-driven branding and marketing for wedding industry entrepreneurs. I don't know if that's something that appeals to you, but I think like by like just niche down, like get, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if that would just be something that I would recommend.
Mm-hmm. Can I piggyback off that? I'm not going to start.
Sure.
But okay, I want to say this also, if you're working with 70% weddings, you have to realize wedding professionals are also seasonal. So it doesn't surprise me at all that you have lower months because they have months they can't pay you. So see how it's not about us doing something different except for understanding our audience. My other thing was in the onlyness factor. I just want to say sometimes we know our onlyness factor, but it's hard for us to accept that. Like I get that my onlyness factor is that I'm so good at finance, but finance isn't necessarily my passion. My passion is helping people live a great life. And so I fought that so hard. But the minute I just now, literally this year, I'm like, no, I want to be known for money. And then I'll just sneak in my life stuff. But like if people call me the money person for creative entrepreneurs, good for I'm excited about that. So there might be something, I don't know, but just something to think about. There might be something that you know you're great at, but you might not yet be ready. That's taken me, this is my 4th official year, but I mean, I've done this since 2012. So it took a while for me to accept it myself. So.
Awesome. That's definitely helpful.
Does that help, Holly? What would your, do you even like weddings, or are you like, I don't want to work with wedding professionals?
No, I mean, I do love the clients that I work with. I'd say most of them are dream clients. It's just like finding more of that and speaking to those people.
I think you would really impress them if you would be like just the data-driven research, like being able to prove your worth to them, your value. Like that's one big thing. Like if you're going to start charging, whatever it is, proving that like you're charging that because you spend so much time studying and researching these. I just dropped it in there so y'all can go download it. She gave a free code for the 2018 report that you can buy them every year. For those of you that are in the wedding industry, just becoming an expert at what you do. And obviously you're an expert in the branding and the design side of it, but becoming an expert in the thing that your clients don't have enough time to research, and that's why they're coming to you.
Yeah, and what is their biggest need? That's my, if you know your client well enough to know your need, then I always say if you know a need and you solve a need, you'll never.
Yeah, she's a little frozen. Okay.
But no, this definitely helps.
Okay, good. I'm so glad. Well, thanks for hopping on. I'm going to go ahead and let the next person hop on. And we're going to go to Kate. You're welcome. Bye, Holly. Thank you.
So I need to do anything
all right,
on my end?
that, let's see. I think I might have just invited her off. I think I did because I invited Kate on.
Booted her.
Booted her. Guys, thanks for sticking with us, like I said earlier. So the next person that we're having on is Kate Quinn. And Kate has been a student of mine. I don't even know where our relationship started first. If it was through back when I used to offer one-on-one coaching. But Kate actually, weird relationship with her. Kate bought the virtual assistant photography business that Jenna Pitcher's right-hand girl sold to her. So I really liked her question. Kate has joined the room. All right. Oh, here it is. Oops. Learning, guys, learning. So while Kate's getting all that geared up, Kate had a great question, which is what I want you to hear as she alludes to that. And here she is popping on. So what she does is does all of the virtual assistant services for photographers.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me? Good. How are you guys?
Also, Kate, are there any other Canadians here in the room? I'm holding it down. Let's see.
Just me?
All right. Well, Kate, I would love for you, kind of like what we did earlier with Ollie, to explain that biggest problem you have. Do you want to introduce yourself first? Is there anything that you want to say?
Sure. Quickly, yeah. So I work with fine art, wedding, and destination photographers from all over the world, basically helping them get their art out into the world. So whether that be through blogging, submissions, album design, or helping them with photo editing, I just serve photographers in whatever they need help with. Long story short, virtual assistant for photographers, if anyone's not totally clear on what I do. Oh, there's someone from Quebec. That's great.
Here we go. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Hi, Liz. Cool. Okay, thanks, Kate. Well, I'm going to start the clock and give you that 1 minute to say, AKA, I feel like it's not one thing. I feel like when I talk about my business problems, it tumbles out. So I'm just going to let you roll. All right?
Yeah. Okay. So I think what I'm struggling with now is I'm 1 year in, and I had to make a huge financial investment to acquire this business, which I think is a little different from a lot of people that kind of build things from scratch. So I actually took over this business and paid a significant amount of money to get it, which I'm pretty thankful for with all that's come out of it. However, I have not made any dent in paying that back. So this first year I brought in money, which was great. It felt really great. I basically paid myself every penny that came in. So I want to kind of know, how do I give myself an appropriate paycheck while still leaving enough to pay off what I invested in the business in the first place?
Okay.
So that's financial, financial challenge. And then Ashlyn, for you really quick, marketing, copywriting challenge is, I seem to be attracting, and this might sound not right, but people that can't afford a whole lot. Like they need the help, but they don't have a huge budget to spend. And so I end up working with like a ton of clients, and I want to try and be able to narrow it down to kind of, 5 solid clients that I'm working with for more hours each month versus a lot of little projects throughout the month that are paying less, if that makes sense. So I don't know if I'm speaking to the right people.
That's perfect. That makes so much sense. Okay. All right. Do you want to do stop, reset? All right. Let's go clarifying questions for 2 minutes. My first question, Kate, for you, can you outline, I'm going to ask everybody this probably. Can you tell me what you do for your clients, like actually what you do?
Okay. So most photographers don't like blogging. So I literally put together their blog posts for them to have them blogging and getting their stuff out there on a consistent schedule, as well as submitting their work so that they get published in these bigger high-end publications to get their name out there so that they get more exposure and they can attract higher-end clients as well. Again, it all goes back to those kind of behind-the-scenes tasks that photographers who are artists really don't like doing and don't have the time necessarily to do. So yeah, I kind of stick it to 4 main things: editing, blogging, submissions, and album design.
I like how trim that is. That's great. Okay, Sheena, what do you got? Oh no, she popped off. Good. She popped back on. Go for it, Sheena.
I missed what happened. My clarifying question: do you have a certain amount of income you need to make? You don't have to tell me what it is, but is there? I'm assuming there's a reason you didn't pay back on the loan because you needed that amount. Everything you're making you need.
Yeah, yes. And that's probably something I haven't determined is exactly what I should be bringing in because my husband's great and he supported me in this endeavor. But yeah, like 30,000 was like the minimum I needed to be bringing in. And that's about
to feel good. That was a feel good number. Mm-hmm. Like you have to have it. That was a feel good number. Okay. And why do you work with the clients specifically that you work with? Is that because you love working with those kind of clients, or was that like the clientele that came with the business?
Yeah, I mean, I love photographers. I wanted to work with photographers, but yes, that was like I purchased the business because that was the clientele, and that's who I've kind of continued to work with because of the need that I saw was there.
Okay, you saw the need, so you like having that clientele.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Kind of like what Sheena said. Do you feel like that needs still? Like, is it still? What's the market like now? Are you? You know what I'm saying? Are you still one of the fewer?
Like what I do? Yeah, I think so. I haven't heard or seen a lot of other people that do what I do specifically for photographers. There's a ton of virtual assistants that'll take on, a lot of administrative tasks. But that's why I love working with photographers because I think, like I mentioned, they're more artists and they don't want to tackle those marketing tasks that allow them to get their art out there.
And then I have one last question. Like, how are you currently marketing to them?
I'm not.
It's just kind of coming in.
It's just, I've been fortunate, I guess, that way. I was on, Jenna Kutcher's podcast literally a year ago. And that seemed to like fast and furious, just get my name out. And then it's been a lot of referral and like, I'm just kind of on Instagram and people seem to find me like through the podcast or through Jenna or someone's talked about me somewhere. Yeah.
Good.
All right. We got to go on. Ready?
Do you want me to give advice?
Yeah. We got 4 minutes.
Okay. I would say, if you aren't making enough money and you can't take on more work, then it's a pricing problem. So I would think about your pricing, and I know that that's very broad. So my other big piece of advice is you might not be having to market right now, but you might want to, in the sense that you are taking on what's coming. But I think, like you said, why you're so full is you found a need. And just like I told Holly, like when you find a need and you solve a need, that was the same. I never had to market. I was just like, oh, I don't even know how to market. Ashlyn knows this is why we tag team. But you might need to start taking on, or at least like cinching up your packages so that you've got to create packages that pay yourself something sustainable, because more work isn't the solution for you. It's different packaging of your work. And I think you're right on. Like, clearly you found a need and a niche because photographers have enough to pay for it, but typically, and they understand. So, and my other last piece of advice on this would be, I would try to tie a dollar amount, like find the value in what you're doing. So it's like, okay, blogging allows people to increase SEO. So maybe you could check like the SEO before when they booked you, and then like 6 months later, how many more visitors to their site? Because that to me is like, I'm a data person, so I want to see the actual results. And for you, it's traffic, right? If it's the blogging. Yeah. So that's one thing. So that was that piece of advice. And can I say one more thing, and then I'll let Ashlyn go? In regards to paying off your loan, I would sit down with your husband, you said you're married, and say, I don't know if you have an agreement. It's like, how fast do you want to pay that off? And then I would break it down. How much then would I have to pay off every single month? And then I would look at how much you need to pay yourself, how much you want to pay on the loan, and what would that require you to take on. And right now you're clearly at capacity. That's going to tell you a lot about your pricing. If you have to make $50,000 now, you want to pay off 20 a year. I don't know how much you bought it for, but if you want to pay 50, then that tells you something. You can only take on, and that's something we do really. I don't know if you've been watching the blueprint model stuff, but I call it the time bank.
Yeah, I can relate to that though. Like what Sheena said, if you're at a time, what did you say, Sheena? On like one thing, you were like, "That's a time bust." If you look at it through a time bank, you're time busted right now. So like, how can that fit in with something to figure out? When she got stuck on my first question is for Sheena because Sheena, my first question is for you. Have you ever have you had students before had to go back to retainer clients or clients that they worked with and like raise their rates? Like not in taking new clients, but go, have you ever?
I raise the rates on my own clients.
Okay,
Absolutely.
That's what because I feel like, Kate, you probably have clients that you're not going to, like, you've either inherited them or you've taken them on, but like you may have to have raising for people that you love working with.
And that's you just need to have a script and you need to practice it because that's not easy, but it's true. We all have to do that. We can't be people pleasers.
Yeah. Okay, so one like fun maybe marketing idea that I had for you that I think also, and I don't know, it would have to fit into your overall financial plan, your time bank. Like if you had a day in the month that you could spare, I have had some friends in different other industries have a day rate, and this is the first time I ever outsourced anything besides bookkeeping. There's a graphic designer who I loved her style, and I knew some things that I needed. And so I emailed about her, and she was like, "You can buy my time, buy me for a day, and I can do here's some ideas of what we could do together." And so once she shot that over, and it was a great rate for her. Like I remember thinking, like, I actually know pretty good if she like has a few of these, sporadically spaced. So that was a great because obviously the people that work with her a lot, I'm coming up on time, work up here, pay up her up here. I wasn't at that level yet. I needed down here, but she still needed to hit her numbers. So maybe that would be a way that you could market to that group, not the 10K wedding people, but the people that are in that other space. But they can still be able to get your services, and you can one day move them up to that higher bracket.
I love that.
Can I tag team off that? Something that really fast. Something I did when I was one-on-one coaching. I didn't like booking people really far in advance because especially people like that. In the sense that, not that they're bad people, but in the sense that, whatever, that's not I would encourage, we book the month of, we book the month that's going to happen. So I would only open my coaching calls, on the first of the month for that month. And so if you do decide to do, day rates or something, that might be something that's really great for you. So you're not booking out, non-ideal or your highest package 6 months in advance. But, when I started doing that, I would open it up the night before the first and be like, "Hey, I'm letting you know early." I never had to announce coaching ever again because I got these people on a list and they knew it was going to happen that month, and it was awesome. So if you decide to do the day rate, which I think is genius, you'd be like, "Okay, this is your day." I don't know if that works, but anyways.
No, I love that. All of that.
Okay.
Oh, good one.
Yeah.
Are you?
Oops, sorry, Ash, I didn't hear you.
That's okay. Are you good? You feel okay?
Yeah. Awesome. I love it all. I wish I could spend days with you both. So thank you so much.
You make us feel smart.
You are welcome. Okay, I'm gonna.
Okay.
Bye.
I
feel like this is round robin, boom, boom, boom. See, I'm gonna let you pop on. So I'm gonna hit that, and while you get ready, and then I should probably say the order. I'm trying to divvy up business types. So let's do Tarika. Is it or Tarika or Tarika? You can tell me when you hop